Poker Hero here with another PokerCruncher training tutorial. So first couple we did here were relatively simple examples of loose ranges, tight ranges. We got a tough one today, so I wanted to try to up the pressure a little bit. So without further ado, let's get started here. So we are playing four-handed in this game. It's a 2NL game. It's actually a hand that I played a while ago. We're pocket nine, so we're certainly going to raise that up. There's only 6 hands on the villain here, but he's VPIPing 67% of them, so it's a relatively loose player on the button. Calls behind us. Small blind folds. Now, big blind will be the main villain of this hand, 3-bets to 25 cents. First thing I'll say does on his play, if you're going to 3-bet out of position, you want to make it a little bit bigger than this. Make it 3 times the last bet, which would be 18, plus my bet there, plus 24, plus one more kind of increment. So I would make that up to 30 is my point. Make it a little bit bigger to try to have a little bit more fold equity. Anyway. So villain here let's check out his stats. So this is what you call the Maniac style player. So you have a VPIP of 62, so he's playing 62% of hands. He's pre-flop raising 39% of them. He's a 26% 3-bet and an almost unheard of 21% 4-bet. So pre-flop at least, though, this guy is a maniac. So he's clearly playing ranges that are way too wide and playing them way too aggressively. Now, I'll give the caveat here is that I've only have 275 hands in the guy, and I've certainly made similar conclusions to this with less hands. 275 is not a lot in the grand scheme of poker, but it's certainly enough to get a pretty good idea of how the guy plays. I'm a fan of just using the information you have available and trying to make the decision. Certainly more is better. If you had 1,000 hands, you'd be more confident in here, but let's see what it is. So one thing you do here in PokerTracker 4 is if you go to the notes, you can see hands that he's shown down. So here, if you look at his 3-bet range here, pocket 2s, queen jack offsuit, queen 9 offsuit. So this guy's playing a huge range. Queen 7 suited, 10-8 suited, ace 7 off. So what this does is, the ace jack suited is not telling you much. It tells you the bottom parts of his range. So you know that he's playing all pocket pairs in 3-bets, or at least he can. He's playing offsuit hands as weak as queen 9 off, suited hands as weak as 10-8 off, king 6 off, etc. So what this does is this helps us try to construct a range for the villain. So let's take a look at where we are now. We have 9 of spades, 9 of clubs. So first thing over here is we can simply drag this out to about 26%, which is the number that we had given him. See where that puts us. So not bad. We know he's playing ace 7 off and higher. We know he's playing all the pocket pairs, so we can adjust that. We know he's also 3-betting queen 9 off, which means he's 3-betting king 9 off. Now, he may not do this in all scenarios, but we got to go with the information we have. I think we saw a queen 7 suited in there. Queen 7 suited, king 6 suited, so let's assume we have that. Honestly, I think you would probably 3-bet these as well if he's going to do those. Well, it's the 28% range. It might be a little wide. It might be a little tight for a player like this. So these guys get paid by just forcing aggression down your throat. They often do not have a hand. So look at this range. So pocket nines against this range has to have 60% equity, 61% equity. All right, 59.5, not too bad. So certainly it's a spot where we're favorable. So now one of the situations we have to do here, is it better for us to call or is it better for us to 4-bet? Here is the question. So first things is you're not in position in this hand, meaning you have a player on the button here. You would very much like to get him out of the hand. Challenge is you start thinking what flops are really good for you. Well, flops with cards, all 3 cards 8 or lower are good for you. You have an overpair. What about a board like a jack, 10, 5? So, all right, 2 over cards, certainly some straight draws, not ideal. What about a board that says ace, 5, 2? Well, guys love playing aces. There's so many ace combinations in these guys' ranges that you're not going to be in great shape there. So based on the pure probability you're going to see overcards is a hand that you don't mind trying to take down pre-flop. You certainly don't want to let 2 guys in there with kind of wide ranges. If you call, you're certainly incentivizing the button to call. And again, we got a lot of equity here, and we're fine winning this pot pre-flop. He just has so many hands that should not call this bet. So one of the things you can always consider is when you're four betting in this case instead of calling, is you force the guy to fold the bottom part of his range, and often that strengthens the opponent's range. So right now we'll round to 60% equity. If we four bet and this guy folds out the bottom third of his range, what does that leave? Where does that put us equity-wise? So right now we have 351 combos. Let's try to take about a third of them out to get down to somewhere around like 230 combos. So I think a very aggressive player type like this, though, is certainly likely to shove aces and kings and ace-king. It's very possible he shoves jacks, queens, tens, some of the bigger pairs as well. We're going to leave them in here for now. So we got to get about 100 more combos out. So let's start folding out some of the weaker offsuit stuff. Hands like that. Fold out some of these weaker suited combos. Fold out some of these gappers. So that puts you there at 229 combos. We wanted about 230, so that is good. Now again, guys, this is purely a guess on what his range is. We don't have a lot of calling 4-bet stats on a guy. But let's compute. So we got to figure out here, is that strengthened his range or weakened his range? Well, he had so many hands in here, and all the stuff he folded out was the unpaired stuff. Some of the ace highs obviously had equity against us. Even some of the king's highs could hit a queen. He folded out, so 6 plus 6 plus 16. So we folded out 28 pairs of premium hands. What is that? About 100 combos of weak hands. So I'm going to say the strength is his range a little bit. He just playing so many hands. I still don't think we're in bad shape. I'm guessing we dropped from 60% equity to, I'll guess 57. Let's look. Oh, all right. We actually went up like 400ths of a point or something. So, all right. So if we 3-bet, and he calls with this range, which is just based on what we know about the player, he's likely to do, is that did not weaken our range at all. Like I said, I think it went up 400ths of a point or something. So we'll call it a push. So that's great. So just remember, in this situation, he has so many hands. So getting into 4-betting, even if he folds out some of the weaker ones and stuff, that was not weakening his range so much that you have to be worried about it. I like attacking a guy like this with a 4-bet. If he jams, you're probably priced in to call it off. We can check that math here if someone's curious. But I like doing it as a 4-bet. What you want to do is when you 4-bet is you want to make it generally in position about 2.5 times the last raise, which would be 60 cents, give or take. We'll put something in here for this guy, so probably make it 70. Here, I make it 80, which is not too big. Hopefully it's a little more fold equity and gets a loose player like this. Though you're very happy if the result here is a fold. You're very happy to pick this up without a paying rake or any type of showdown. Yeah, so I don't mind a little extra to get a little fold equity here. So button folds. As this type of player does, he calls. So right now we're expecting him to have this range, and this is the range that we believe he would call a 4-bet with. We get a flop of 10, 6, 4, 2 spades, villain shoves. So first things first, he has about 2/3 of a pot bet left. If you look at your pot odds up here, though, you need 28% equity to call. What does he do with that has 28% equity on this board? So first things first, we can kind of do it this way. We can do a 10, 4, that's a diamond, 6. So instead of deal to river, I'm going to take it back here to deal to flop. I'm going to hit calculate because that's going to kind of tell you some of the make hand stats, break hand stats. All right. So right here on this board, he is a high card 55% of the time. 55% of his range has missed the board. He's a 1-pair hand 40% of the time. He has no 2-pair combos. He has 9 combinations of sets. He has no made straights, no made flushes, or anything like that. He has a flush draw here 6% of the time. So 6% of the time in this flop, though, he's going to have a flush draw. He has no open-ended straight draws. He's an inside straight draw with only 2 combos, being the 9-8, where a 7 would get him a straight draw. He has some top pairs. He has some second pairs. He has some bottom pairs. He has some 12 combos of over pairs. All in all, this guy has a whole lot of junk. So here's where you got to figure out what strategy do you think this guy is shoving with. So he's certainly a maniac. He's going to try to apply aggression to get you to fold, and we have to figure out where that puts us. So I'm going to take us out here to dealing to the river. I have a pretty good idea what his range looks like from here, so we're going to pick some hands we think he would do this with. So let's just remove everything in his... Whoop, it did. All right, cool. Whoop, all right. So he would do this with the sets. He had 10s, he had 6s, he has 4s in his range. He would probably do this with the overpairs, being the queens and the jacks that we gave him that we didn't think he would jam with. He would probably do this with top pair and an overcard, meaning he's going to do that with ace-10 to ace-jack. Same over here on the suited side. So that's 69 combos of value hands we expect him to do. This is the type of player I'd expect to jam some of his draws. So when you do play this type of strategy, you want to do it with both made hands and draws, meaning there are going to be a ton of spade draw combos he's going to do that with here. So we're going to highlight those. Whoop. Highlight those. Think we still gave him these, even if we're a little bit off in our... Whoop, I was right the first time. Even if we're a little bit off on what we have, we're going to give him those combos. We're going to give him these. We're going to give him these, uncheck those. So where does that put us? I'm going to speculate. So what we're doing here is we're giving him the obvious diamond draws. I can take that off, give him some of these. I think these were in his range. We're giving him the obvious diamond draws. We're giving him the overpairs, the top pair, the sets. A reasonable range. Maybe he jams. I think we said 9-8 suited. Well, we have the diamond combo in there, so that's fine. So this is going to be a close spot. Probably in something like this, though, against that range. I'm guessing he has 15% draws that has some equity versus, say 20% draws that has some equity versus 80% value hands that we're drawing thin against. So this probably gives us, it's probably going to be a push on this number at about 30%. All right. So it's 25% equity. So also think against this type of player, though, is he ever going to do this with a bluff? So this is the type of guy that is clearly not playing anything with his value hands. He's clearly trying to exploit aggression to get you to fold. So right now we have 88 combos that include the value hands and the obvious draws. Let's just click ace-queen off. That's 12 combos of bluffs. 12 combos of 2 overcards that he think, hey, you missed the board or you're playing with him. Yeah, let's see where that takes our equity. Now that takes you to 31%. So as I kind of did in my last video, is you always want to figure out what is the worst case scenario or what is the real scenario, then figure out how wide does this guy need to be for it to be a profitable call. So look at it this way. If he's jamming only top pair, the sets, and the obvious diamond draws, you are behind. If he has as much as 12 combos, let's go over here. Let's select just 2 random hands here. That's not a good one. There you go. 8 combinations of random hands. 29% equity, you only need 28 to call. What if he's doing it over here with some of these? He's doing it with all the overcard combos, and you probably have 38% equity or something. 45% equity. So realize if this guy is adding as much as 12 combos here of true bluffs, you have the equity needed to call. So this can be very player dependent. As I said in the last video, a guy like this is probably only going to do it with either the nuts or bluffs. He probably has a strategy, and when he shoves like this, though, we might not know what it is, and he might not know what it is, but he probably only does in one scenario or the other. When a guy is this wide and clearly just tries to employ blind aggression to win pots, I find this to be a relatively easy call. The math here is close, but remember, if he has 12 combinations of any type of bluff in his range, we are good here. So I believe in this scenario I did call. Queen, not great because some of his overcards got there. 7 shouldn't complete anything else except that 9-8, but there's only one combo off. Two combos off. We show down, and he did have the ace-jack. So this is the type of player that is going to shove probably the value hands and the draws, and in a way that's balanced where you just can't blindly call. He's certainly balanced to value here, meaning he had a lot more value combos than the draws that we gave him. But remember, guys, if we put in any bluffs there, this makes it a profitable call. His stacks have been bigger, and he was laying us, 35 or 40% equity. Let's say he jammed, 1.5x pot when he had 40% equity to call. Then we're in a real tough situation. He has to be real wide on his bluffs if we want to be able to call profitably. So tough spot. Obviously, mathematically, it was certainly very close. The pre-flop spot hopefully was educational for you, as was the flop. This could be very player dependent. If you have a guy you think is going to jam his whole 4-bet range, this is an easy call. If you think he's only purely doing the value hands, it might be a fold, but for a player like this that's clearly kind of wide and at least bluffing somewhat, he doesn't need to be that far off of kind of normal to make this a profitable call. So good luck, guys. If you got questions, certainly leave a comment down below. I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like that. You guys got hands you want us to review, you can send them to pokerheroonline@gmail.com. Past that, guys, good luck in your games. Go out and crush it.